Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming out on your weekends, extended weekends. Although I do perfectly understand the sentiment that nowadays the gap between the line between weekend and weekday has blurred out. Uh, it's going to be an interesting session. What we have done is try to concoct together a plan which could be very helpful for us, especially from the micro and small business segments, because in the last month or so, I've been interacting with quite a few friends. Some of you are here, and I've been interacting with you all, and most of the times, the response, if I were to divide it into two parts, one has been that of utter hopelessness. What can be done? This has taken us by surprise. Obviously, nobody planned for it. The other kind of response has been of overwhelm. There's so much to do. I understand the business isn't shut. There's so much to do, but we don't exactly know as to where to start from because the pattern of doing has shifted. So what we have tried and done is we have created a action plan of various things that can be done in this lockdown period. Now I'm going to share a screen with you all about a deck that I've prepared just for this presentation. Give me a minute. Can everybody see the screen? You can raise your hands if you can. Okay. Awesome. So we are going to discuss this action plan for MSMEs, which is what the title also said to the program. A little bit about us. I'm continuously referring as we. So let me give you a prelude about who are we. Most of you all know me. Some of you don't know me or don't know Aacharan Consulting. So we are basically a strategy consulting firm, also doing behavioral trainings. We are based out of Pune and we have presence in East Africa. We have some JVs done there. What we do in essence, well, there is a lot we do, but in essence, we help our clients maximize their potential and stand out from their competitors. Now, when I say maximize their potential, it is precisely in three avenues: people, process, and profits. We help them do better with their human resources. If there is a loophole, if there is a gap in the process, we help them iron that out. And ultimately, we make a measurable impact on the profit of our clients. A little bit about me. I've got 15 years of experience doing what I do. I'm a law graduate basically, and I have done my executive education in strategy consulting from IIM Bangalore. And I'm also certified in neuro-linguistic programming, which is what helps me do my training, take care of training vertical. So we're going to talk about three things. First is actionable. First is exact things, the kind of things that we can do in this lockdown. Not contemplate, but think, but do actionables. We are also going to look at the frugality part of it. From what I understand, I myself belong to this, and I perfectly know that most of us are in a huge cash crunch for obvious reasons. So in these times, if we were going to make strategies and action plans which are elaborate and exquisite, well, most of it won't roll out simply because where's the money? So we're going to while designing these things, I ensure that we keep one eye continuously on the frugality part of it, on the cost savings part of it. So we need to have solutions which are workable with limited amount of money that we have. And then lastly, we're going to brainstorm. So this session is, it may start like that where I talk, but ultimately I want your inputs also because we want to help each other learn from each other. The premise, let me talk of why this idea came in the first place. Okay, so a lot of people said that business is shut, धंधा बंद पड़ा है, धंधा खराब है. Uh, my understanding is when they're saying that, what they actually mean is the revenue part of the business, the sale part of the revenue earning part of the business is shut or has gone down, which is true. Having said that, business is not just about revenue as a function. I'm sure all of us agree that for us to be able to do what we do, for the customer to pay us, there are 10 different things that we need to do, which we broadly classify under functions. Right? If you can see your screen right now, I've dished out major functions like marketing in the Google Forms that you guys filled up. The highest amount of questions came for marketing and finance. Then there is diagnosis. We need to keep always reviewing our business. We need to document a lot of processes, policies. There is planning that is involved. And when we do all of this together, results happen, and the result is revenue. Let me bring in an analogy here. Like, for example, if some younger fellow comes up to you and says, help me, I have flunked my 10th standard exams and help me do better. We would never give an advice that, next year do one thing, get a better result copy. We don't ask them to do we don't ask them to edit the result copy. What we instead advise them is, um, prepare better, work hard, study more, concentrate, XYZ, and then appear and you will get better results. So, in a sense, what we are saying is focus on the process, do everything else that is needed to do well, and results will take care of itself. Okay, so I don't see any difference in our business analogy here also, except of course in schools, exam times and result times are predefined. But more or less, if we take care of our business processes, revenue or the result part of it is going to take care of itself. And anyway, right now it's not in our hands. Okay, so I'm going to run through most the bigger processes one by one and things that we can do under those processes. Let us start with marketing, the first function that I thought we should talk in detail about, because there are lots of things that we can do when it comes to marketing even today. Now, why I say this is because yes, I agree that some of us might already be doing a lot of marketing initiatives even before the lockdown and even right now. Before the lockdown, the scenario was different because you were able to access your customers and your customers were able to access you also. So marketing was translating into sales. It might not now, primarily because your customers are off the physical market. But that doesn't mean they're off completely. They've shifted actually to a virtual market. And I was just picking some statistics, and I found out that people are spending around 6 times more time on the internet than ever before, for obvious reasons, because all of us have a lot of time now. What it tells me is these are your people, these are your market, these are your customers that are spending time on the internet now, and there are ways to reach them. Now, like in physical marketing, even in digital marketing, when I say reach them, I see a lot of people getting aggressive on the social media these days and actually are taking efforts to promote their business. If nothing, agreed. But I think we should all now take a deep rooted approach, primarily because time is permitting us to do that. In the physical world and also in digital marketing, any marketing effort without a strategy isn't wholesome. We are not going to really yield results if it is not weaved together. अगर वो एक किसी सूत्र में नहीं बंधा है, तो it becomes very difficult for that kind of marketing to actually make an impact. So the core of any marketing initiative, physical or otherwise, all the more today, is strategy. And in strategy, first let us look at core strategy. Core strategy is that part of your business that answers two or three very important questions. First one being, what do you do? How do you do? But more importantly, why do you do what you do? And even more importantly, it should answer the question, why should the market take any cognizance of you being present in the market? Why should anybody bother at all? Why should I take notice of your business, of your establishment? So basically, core strategy will come up when you have sorted your core strategy. You will come up with answers to the whys of the business. Okay. Second point, that can the answer to which will come out of your core strategy is UVP. Okay. Now, I'm sure all of us have heard the term USP, okay, unique selling proposition. Here's the point: USPs are getting outdated and obsolete by the day. The reason being, technology is, even before, I think from the last couple of decades, technology is taking the market by a storm, and everything that happened to be your uniqueness or your distinction in terms of features is being taken away by a storm. Let me give you an example. If you switch on your televisions and you see a mobile phone company advertising its newest model, newest offering in the market, and they come up with an advertise centered around some new mind-blowing feature that they've come up with. Like recently, we saw a surge of advertisements coming with those pop-up cameras. Now, it was good until it was good because that company was the first one to launch it. But if you go after a couple of months, you will see the market is flooded with mobile phones that have a pop-up camera. I mean, every other company starts doing it because technology is easily replicable these days. Most things that we view as USPs are easily replicable. There was a time, I would say long ago, when first comer advantage or early bird advantages were associated with USPs and were glorified. But there are lots of case studies these days which say that actually first comers and early birds are at a disadvantage, in fact. That's because the others get to learn from their mistakes, see their products, copy it, and worse even, make it better. So early bird advantage is losing its charm. What is the solution to it? Probably UVP, now, which stands for unique value proposition. Customers buy you, anybody shells out any money at all for the value ultimately that you get from that purchase. And that's no different about even your customers. They are going to buy you for a value. Let me get another example here. Apple, for example. Okay, Apple has, in this competitive market, it has consistently for the last decade or more than that actually been a company which sells its products at least 30% more than its nearest competitor. How have they been successfully able to do this? Is because they are instilling a value differentiation also in their products. They are known for class 1 products. They are known for class 1 technology, security, all that. But at the core strategy level, Apple management speaks about being a company which helps its clients look different, stand out. We all know, as a matter of fact, if we are in a group, 10 of us sitting, and one of them puts out a latest Apple model on the table, we all take notice. We may say or no, but we take notice. So Apple products help their markets stand out. In spite of having 5% market share, they are the one of the largest companies today. So it's a matter of value offering, right? And it's a matter of we as entrepreneurs understanding what is that value that we are offering and to be able to articulate that also. Like long back, 95s, Kodak used to say we are a photography filmmaking company, and Canon said we are a company that helps you preserve memories. Same product, same product line, same industry, a huge difference in the way they looked at their own business. And we all know about where Kodak is today and where Canon is today. Thirdly, brand message. When you're going to weave stories, when you're going to create those marketing collaterals and send them out in the digital or anywhere else, any other platform, ultimately you will have to actually concisely sit down and find out what is that message that you want to give to your customers. Okay? When I say message, a lot of times people get misled and they start thinking about some social cause message, some go green type of initiatives. That's not what I mean. I mean, if that is your message, well, so be it. Then nothing wrong with it. But what I precisely mean is your brand's message. Why should your video should, or your collateral should answer as to why should I do business with you. Okay? You should also look at push versus pull. Contemplate, give it a deep thought, give it a hard look. That are you into a push category of products, or are you into a pull category of products? And then devise your marketing strategy accordingly. If you're into push, then go hammer and tongs about your marketing campaign. Go aggressively. If you're in pull, well, think about subtle ways of marketing where you're not exactly pushing things down customers' throat, but creating a thought, pulling them towards you ultimately. Results may not come immediately, but they will come eventually. That type of a strategy. Lastly, also decide which channels would suit you. I sometimes see a lot of well-made advertisement or marketing campaigns launched on the wrong platform. Like, for example, if you are into corporate type of businesses and you are promoting heavily on Facebook, no problem. But if you're promoting only on Facebook, well, then there is a problem. Because I think, in my view, and a lot of digital marketers present here would agree that LinkedIn is a better platform for those kind of activities. And vice versa. I mean, if your product is something that anybody and everybody can buy, has some social connect angle, then well, may as well promote it on Instagram, Facebook, and all that. So you need to have a presence on all platforms, but you need to decide which channel exactly is going to be the right thing for you. Okay, I move to collaterals. What we can do in these lockdown times is create marketing collaterals for now and even for future. Okay, I think internet is loaded right now with these automated offerings coming at dirt cheap rates currently. So make use of them. Build your collaterals, build your company profiles. If you can't do it, hire some specialists. Who can create a kick-ass kind of a company profile for you that will look good, and you invest in it right now, and you're going to reap benefits all through. Once you make this deck, then there's only editing that you need to do, but your main structure is made. Right? Create branding videos as far as possible. Uh, we have a lot of photographers. We also have a video making specialist company with us here. Towards the Q&A session, they may interact with you also. So Prasad and Bhageshri, they made videos for us. They make videos for a lot of clients. Even right now, they have access to millions of stock footages. So it is difficult to shoot your premises, your business, your operations right now, but stock footages can help you roll out your messages, and they're experts at doing that. Brochures, e-brochures especially, gone are the days. They were actually long back gone, the physical brochure days. But then some of us did think that having something present on a customer's desk is important. Right, wrong, I don't know, but now the customer isn't on the desk itself. So e-brochures will work fine. Uh, Content. There's a saying in marketing that ultimately, no matter what is the king. So develop your content, make it as concise as possible, make it as relatable as possible, work on it extensively. Right now, you've got the time, you've got the resources to do it, and design the right content that will go through all of these channels. One area which a lot of us can actually utilize is blogs. Blogs are underrated. I think their importance, their emphasis is lost on us. But when we write blogs pertaining especially to our industry, the market looks upon it, and right now there is a rage in especially the youth for anything and everything. They go to Google, they go to they refer to blogs and articles written by experts in those industry. Now, what it tells us is once you write those blogs, it kind of psychologically it kind of leaves a message in the reader's mind that, oh, if this person has written this, he may be an expert, and your chances of positioning yourself goes that much higher. Okay. I moved to digital marketing. I think we've all heard enough about this already. Here's my appeal: start doing something about it. Use social media platforms, they're very powerful. I think one of the blessing in disguise these days is, because we have been forced to move to digital platforms, they have a lot of advantages over conventional or physical marketing. You're able to reach the exact customer. Like, you put up a hoarding somewhere, you pay exorbitant amount of money, and you're not sure as to who all are going to see. So there is some amount of hope that you are relying on, that your exact customer comes in that period, in that hoarding, sees it also. uh, but with digital marketing, you can actually choose your client, your target audience, based on their interest, their demography, their likes, their professions, their job titles, and whatnots. Right. So social media tools are very powerful in that regard. Secondly, the cost per impressions of social media is way too low, way too low. Like, for example, I think on Facebook, for a normal post, let's say you put out a flyer, I think the average is for 400 rupees. You can reach an audience of around 50, 60,000 or maybe more. I'm not an expert in that, but I'm sure you can catch. There are some digital marketeers here too. Okay, YouTube. If you haven't already, guys, this is the right time to start a channel. Okay, get subscribers, get people to view your content on your channel. The best thing is, once you build up a channel and get subscribers, that becomes your perpetual network. Every time you launch something on this, that does reach those many clients. So that's one good thing. Also, YouTube is very user friendly because it allows you to share on various platforms. So if, let's say, some of you post something and I like it, I can share it on all my channels, and that way you get to leverage my network also. Okay, and YouTube, by the way, is the second largest search engine on earth after Google, also owned by Google. So for anything and everything after Google, people are going on YouTube. I think I can see a lot of pop-ups for chat, so I'm going to take a break and ask Dipali if there are any questions here. Dipali? Okay. Okay.
You can see?
No. Okay.
I'm not able to unmute myself.
Okay. I am going to need to take a second's break. There's a technical glitch. Excuse me, guys, for that. Now, our co-host is not Bhagyashree anymore. We have Prasad as our host. Okay. So, any chat messages that you put in are going to be routed through Dipali and Prasad. Prasad, are you the co-host now? Can you confirm?
Yes, Ketan, I'm the co-host now. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Going ahead, so again, digital marketing, the other avenues are email marketing. Email marketing, particularly, I don't know how well it works, because there was a joke going around on the internet some time back. I saw it, that India is the only country where after sending an email, you have to also send a message to remind that you've sent an email. So we're not very email savvy. We're not very email friendly. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. There might be a few of you, but mostly people prefer WhatsApp over emails, or other chat options over email. So I don't know how much that works. Also, if it is not something urgent, I don't really spend a lot of time on emails. So action taken after that email is much lesser, I think. Uh, SEO is one important element these days. People are getting impatient. Okay, so if they go and type something about your industry, let's say, for example, if I was in Shivajinagar and I type the best non-vegetarian food around, and Karan, we have here. Karan, by the way, is the owner of NH37, the Daba. And let's say Karan happens to be one of the finest options available there. But if somebody doesn't know it and he puts it on Google and you haven't optimized that search engine, your result, Google is going to, it works on some kind of algorithm. I don't understand that, how it works, but there are experts who work on that algorithm to get your result at top 2 or 3, because people do not have enough time to even go to the 7th or 8th link. एक स्क्रीन में जितने लिंक्स बैठ जाते हैं उनमें से कुछ एक देख लेते हैं, right? So SEO is becoming all the more important, especially if you have a website and you want to route people through your website or to your website. I think SEO is an absolute must. There is something else that we can do right now, okay, and that is focusing on touch points. People who are from the field of marketing know the importance of touch points. Touch point is basically any point, any opportunity that you get to interact with your customer. Now, yesterday when you had signed up those forms, somebody had written a question that how do I ensure that I engage with my customers even in this period. Now, here are some points. First thing you can do is maybe a courtesy call. It doesn't pain any, it doesn't create any problem for making a courtesy call. A courtesy call is basically just randomly calling upon your existing customer and inquiring about them. Okay, and nowadays it's all the more simpler because let's say one of you is my customer and I see some post or I see some event on Facebook pertaining to your life. I call the person, I have enough data, I have enough background to already start a conversation. Okay, and courtesy calls aren't explicit telemarketing calls. They're not like ye le lijiye, wo kar lijiye. It is just about, I dropped in casually and I wanted to check on you, those kind of things. So courtesy calls helps your potential customers remain your customers, or at least have you somewhere at the top of their minds. Once the lockdown is open, they might start thinking about you again. Special days, I think this most of us are doing anyway. But if you aren't, then Facebook and LinkedIn again are enabling you to not remember, but still have an access to their birthdays, their anniversaries, engagements, and whatnot. Likes. Today's world is driven by likes by everybody, especially the youth. They put something and they immediately keep a track about kitne logon ne like kiya. Now, what happens is if your customer has put something up, your potential customer has put something up, and you go and like, his likelihood is higher that he's going to go and see your like, and that way he's going to be reminded, and maybe he will return the favor sometime. Right? Comments, especially on LinkedIn, guys. If you're on LinkedIn, this is of paramount importance. If somebody has posted something, go through that post. On an average, reading a post takes less than a minute. Spend that minute, think about it, and write something. Engage with those people, especially if they are your customers, because that kind of engagement is going to last a little longer in their minds. Okay, and references, like for example, if I see something pertaining to some industry, let's say Karan again, if I see an article on LinkedIn which is pertaining to F&B industry, and I think it could help Karan, I may as well tag him or share that to him or tag him on that post. That way, you get to leverage each other's network on internet, especially on LinkedIn. So reference works the best when it comes to marketing. I take a pause here before going to the next slide. Is there any question? Dipali, can you help us? Or Prasad, can you see any questions? Okay. I presume it's a no.
Yes, Ketan, you can go ahead.
Okay. Prasad, can you I think muted Dipali also. She can't unmute herself. She's my wife also. I hope you remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So next function that we will look into is finance. Okay. There's a lot of talk. I'm not the first one to say this. There's a lot of talk going on right now about how India is poised at the doors of opportunities. China's loss could be India's gain. In the global scenario, they're saying this. I don't know how much of that is true or not, because I think only time will tell if that is going to happen or no. But one thing I can tell you is that a lot of countries are taking some kind of action, okay, and are willing to shift their economic activities or their manufacturing activities, particularly from China to elsewhere, and that elsewhere, in all likelihood, is going to be India, can be India. Um Having said that, once this anti-China sentiment goes down, and once this lockdown is lifted, and once things are back to normal, pragmatism will take charge over everything else. And at that scale, 1 or 2% profit margins are also going to make a lot of impact on the bottom line. And from what I understand, I'll be very surprised if private entrepreneurship, especially, takes decisions against profit but in favor of anti-China sentiment. Uh, so, in all likelihood, if those opportunities come to India, they're not going to be dished out on a platter like, take this and start doing our manufacturing. Our government will have to do a lot of things um, to enable that thing is being absorbed by the entrepreneurship in India. Um, yes, a lot of it will go to the large corporate houses, but ancillary effect, it will trickle down to the MSMEs also. Okay? And I already see a lot of initiatives being done by the government. Just the other day, I was on a call with the AGM of SIDBI, and he was saying that government, RBI has allocated 15,000 crores of funds for microfinancing, for financing the micro and small MSME, basically micro and small industries. Okay, so there are lots of these schemes, there are lots of these plans coming up for upliftment of MSME, basically, and I think there is no better time than today to make use of that. Microfinancing, not just SIDBI, there are a lot of other companies, there are a lot of other banking institutions, finance institutions, even NBFCs that are coming up with microfinancing opportunities. A lot of VCs and private investors are also looking at opportunities for sound businesses to be invested in. So this is your chance if you want to pull up finance. I think this is your chance. I heard about invoice discounting and I found it very interesting. We always knew it, but in this scenario, I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, you will need to run this through your chartered accountants also. But prima facie, I think, so invoice discounting, for those of you who don't know it, is you raise an invoice to a client and give it to your bank, to your banking partner, and they give you 80-90% or whatever is agreed, that kind of funds, that kind of finance already against that invoice. Okay, and the rate of interest on those kind of funds is amazing, guys. I think we should all look at it. What does it? The rate of interest is low, and the other thing that it does is, a lot of us might be worried that जब ये चालू हो जाएगा, how do we go and approach the customer, because we don't even have the money to put up our first round of products. I think a lot of us will have to start afresh. So this takes care of that thing. You go out in the market, fetch orders, raise invoices. Customers are going to help you, of course, raise those invoices and give it to your banking partners. And I think invoice discounting could come in handy at that point in time. For women entrepreneurs here, it was always, since last decade or more, government has always been promoting women entrepreneurship through various schemes, and all the more today. I think on an average, any scheme that has been rolled out for MSME, if the founder or if the promoter is a woman, that takes it 1% lesser in terms of ROI, rate of interest. It takes it 1% lesser, and 1% lesser could mean a lot. So I think here's your chance to go ahead and make use of these schemes. My advice, now this is just my own personal perception, it might differ for different people, but I think it would be prudent of all of us to go a little easy on capital funding at this stage, especially. I firmly believe that most businesses should avoid capex, should avoid capital funding right now. Try to be as asset light as possible currently, or whatever assets you have, just stay on that, and ensure that most of your funding is towards working capital instead of fixed capital. That is, your ball is rolling, you're able to churn out more, you're able to do something about your turnaround time, and once you are back to somewhat normalcy, then maybe you can think of capex funding. Now, just before I began this section, I said that although people are waiting, all the countries and economies are waiting to move out of China, they're not going to dish it out on a platter and present it to India. India will have to do a lot of hard work. Similarly, government is dishing out a lot of offers, but not on a platter again for MSMEs. So we are going to have to prove our mettle. We are going to have to prove to the government that we are eligible. We will pay back. So government is also going to invest in sound businesses. All the more because there is another background. I'm sure most of us know there is another backdrop to this about NPAs, about what do they call it? Waiving off loans, and people running away with money and all that India is facing even before the lockdown. That is making it all the more difficult, for this finance to come out easily. The banks are being very cautious. In fact, I myself have spoken to a few bank managers and zonal managers about the MSME schemes like Mudra, the Mudra financing that was unveiled by the PM himself. And a lot of managers, I can't quote them, but they've said that it is easier for the central government to roll out a scheme, but we can't let it go out in any hands randomly, because simply speaking, the NPAs ultimately we are responsible for. तो एक तरफ गवर्नमेंट कहती है कि दो, पर अगर वो वसूल नहीं कर पाए तो उसका जवाबदेही भी हमारे पास होता है, and that is kind of a catch-22. So you will have to be a little cautious in that area. Okay, by cautious I mean you will have to have your documentation right. The first piece of document that you will need is a business plan. No matter which bank, which financial institution, which VC you go to, you will have to have a thorough, well thought out business plan. And when it comes to MSME, I think in my experience, I've seen a lot of micro and small business entrepreneurs wanting finance, but not being ready when it comes to having a sound business plan. Okay. Now, once the lockdown is lifted and those schemes come out rolling with full steam, that's when you will go to a bank and find out that they need X number of documents, and that's when you will start preparing it. By the time you do it, the opportunity would have already been lost. So the idea is, since you've got this time, build up a thorough business plan. Okay. Second point being, build up a thorough financial model which talks of revenue projections, which talks of anticipated operational expenses, capital expenses, if at all. Then you are able to look at fixed OPEX and variable OPEX, and come to some understanding of what your profit and bottom lines will look like. And that's when you will be able to design an offer as to how much am I going to make through what kind of funds, and what can I give the bank or the investor in return. Okay, so work on your business plan, your financial models, your business models. Also ensure that your books are up to date. अभी तक के जितने accounts है, अभी तक के जितने documents है, balance sheets है, ये सब up to date रखें. Also prepare a projected cash flow. I think that is one piece of document that the banks are highly interested in, because they don't like you going back on your dues. कोई EMI bounce हो जाए, that's not a healthy scenario for the bank also. So they want to see a green cash flow statement for every month. At least कि EMI आ जाएगा, इतना होना चाहिए. Then in the third stage, you will have to create proposals. You will have to create a pitch deck. Be it a bank, be it a investor, people will like to see what's your idea in nutshell. Not everybody will give you that kind of time. So create a investor pitch deck. Also make already a plan for which source of funds do you want to target. Do you want to go the bank route? Do you want to go the NBFC route? Do you want to go the investor or a VC route? What do you exactly want to do? Now, why I say that is because your pitch deck, what you write in it or what details you give out differ according to the source. All of these people are interested in different things. So you need to first make sure what source you are going to target. And if you're going to target a multiple source, then create multiple pitches accordingly. Okay. Be sure about your offer. Be sure about options in your offer. Sometimes most times investor discussions don't go as planned. They come up with some crazy counter offer. So be prepared as to what your offers, what your options could be, what is your going to be, what is the range of your offer. कि मैं कितने तक नीचे आ सकता हूँ, where is that point where I will have to say that no, this is not being done. That is very important because otherwise VCs can put immense amount of pressure on you. Okay. And then you will be, for the coming couple of years, you will be regretting that decision, but then things are already out of your hand by then. Okay. Checklist. There are some things that you need to go through or assess carefully even before making a decision to go for finance or not. First is assess your risk profile. Okay. And when I say risk profile, as much as I understand it, there are only two types of risk profile. There is low risk, low return, or high risk, high return. I don't understand high risk, low return and low risk, high return. Low risk, high return जैसा कुछ होता तो हर कोई वो कर रहा होता. High risk, low return कोई करेगा ही क्यों? There is only high risk, high return, and there is only low risk, low return. Which of this profile is yours when it comes to financing or your business altogether? Find that out. Be sure about that. If you're not sure, of course you can connect with anybody at Aacharan also, but you can also talk to any other finance expert and understand this scenario, because going further it's very important to make a clear-cut decision about your risk profile. Maybe a DCF statement will come in handy. DCF is a discounted cash flow. Okay, it's basically a technique used by chartered accountants and finance analysts to evaluate your company. Okay, so you can talk to your CA. He will help you with a DCF statement. A DCF is very important. Even banks and investors would, if your offering is very sophisticated, complicated, or if your demand for funds is a little higher than usual, probably they will ask for a DCF. And also it will tell you whether you should in fact go for funding or no. Okay. The other way to do it is alternate to DCF is comparable transaction, where you, if now in India, especially in the MSME sector, this is very difficult because it's not as organized as large enterprises are. The financial data isn't easily available. But if you can, then we'll do a comparable transaction method. Look at a firm which is exactly or pretty similar to your type, and see their transactions, see their financial data, and compare yours with them. Okay. Cost cutting. Firstly, be sure we want to do cost cutting. If you want to, then find out areas where you want to do cost cutting and document them. Write them down, make a note of them, and then go at cost cutting with a very careful approach, guys. Because some of you might have, before today, some of you, I'm sure, might have built your business on a value discipline of product leadership. Most of you rather, must have built a value discipline of being offering the best quality. I think that's the scene of most MSMEs, because cost advantage we cannot offer. We do not have that kind of scale. So the only thing where we can stand out is offering a better quality. So most of the MSME is positioned on product leadership. And then if you are going to start taking cost-cutting approaches which impact quality of your product, well, that has been the standing of your business altogether, and now you're going to attack that very fundamental. So it's not always sensible to just go doing cost cutting across the board. Also see trends. Guys, if you are in certain type of business which you think can have a very different future after today, please evaluate, please study a little more about the trends in your industry. Okay. This is very difficult to do, honestly, because nobody has any data of this kind of a situation. something of this magnitude has happened only, I think, 100 years back. I think even that wasn't the match, or I don't know. But that time, technology wasn't the way it is today. Most of the data of that time isn't available because it wasn't recorded. So analysts also are having huge debates amongst themselves as to how to predict what will happen. Would culturally, would socio-economically countries' markets will change? Would they not change? Would they come back to normal? Nobody knows. Right? Even in stock markets, nobody has any data as to how our market's going to behave. So all we can do is just be prepared. I mean, if some analyst says that it goes X route, some analyst comes and says it goes Y route, some other comes and says it goes A route, we'll anticipate all of those routes is my take on this. Okay, any Prasad, any question up till now? You want me to address something in particular?
Yes, Ketan. Yes, Ketan. Just a second. Yeah, Dipali is unmute now. So we have.
Okay. So Ketan, we have two questions.
Mhm.
Mostly, I think it is related to the marketing thing. I'm just opening the chat window. So, like, I think Anu has asked about since there are so many channels and noise around, how do you ensure your message is reaching your target audience? And there is another one, I think that would help to answer her question. I think somebody would like to share the online collaboration tools. I don't see the name, it's written as RK. So
Okay.
I don't know who it is. So it's greetings
Mhm.
from Frankfurt. So I think you must be knowing who it is.
Okay. So I'll begin with the first question already. I think it was on the marketing slide. Okay, we don't even need the slide. Yes, there is a lot of noise. I agree. There's a lot of noise. If you go on Facebook or any of these channels, there are lots of those people who are coming out with video. But here's the point. Now, how many people would spend time on something that they're not interested in? How much time would you spend on something that you're not interested in? Okay. And social media has made us so impatient that we hardly spend more than 5 seconds on something that we haven't liked. People make decisions whether I want to stay on this video or not in less than 5 or 10 seconds. Okay. So talk to experts. Talk to don't try and do everything by yourself. Okay. If you can't, if you know your brand message but don't know how to put it, take help, take external help, but put it in the right way, because I think social media market is also becoming ruthless in this noise. If you haven't caught the eyeballs of your customers in the first go, or if you have caught but you have not made the right impression, they are not giving you second chance. एक परसेप्शन बन जाता है कि इसके बाद इस चैनल से जो कुछ आएगा वो ऐसा ही होगा. Okay. Or and sometimes it is in your benefit also. So the first time if you make the right impression, every time you put something through that channel, people will stand up and take notice, right? So noise is there, but again, I would say content is the king. If you've got the right content positioned well, I think people will spend that kind of time. Also, in this noise, I think one thing is very important for us to remember, that we are not, we shouldn't be too focused on likes and reach. ऐसा नहीं है कि 10,000 likes आ गए तो your marketing campaign has been very successful. Even if it is, let's say, 100 200 likes on something, or 100 200 engagements on something, but find out, go deep in your marketing campaigns and find out what kind of people has it reached. If those 200 people are the right kind of people for your marketing campaign, well, I think your job is sort of, why make that kind of clutter? 10,000 लोगों के पास reach हो गया, लेकिन translate कितना हुआ, right? So don't worry too much about noise. Focus a little more on content. The right content will stand out. Is there anything else, Dipali? Or Prasad?
Yes, Ketan. Yes, Ketan. There are a couple of questions more. I'll just unmute Dipali again.
Just hold on.
Sure.
Yes, Deepali, go ahead.
Okay, so Ketan, there's one more question. Actually, there are a few more now. So, one question is for the MSME companies. So, for MSME companies like us, should go for finance opportunity or bootstrapping? Is a good option for us. This is
Yes.
from
So,
Ignite Spectrum. Yeah.
okay. So, bootstrapping is an option, definitely, always. Why not? In fact, okay. But I think looking at these finance schemes and looking at how market can shape up, I think I may be wrong, but I think once this lockdown thing is done, in the coming 6 months at least, the cost of capital, the cost of borrowed capital is going to be at an all-time low. I think not an all-time low, but an all-time low of the current, let's say, 5 years or so. If that is true, if it happens that way, I think then it makes much more sense to borrow the funds and put it in. But if you think your TCF doesn't allow for it, or you just don't want to your risk covers that way, well, bootstrapping is always an option. It's like choosing from the from the market. And when you say bootstrapping, I think it is time we entrepreneurs from MSME start treating ourselves also as investors. Okay, so an MSME founder, basically a micro or small business founder, thinks that bootstrapping matlab mera hi paisa tha. So, but that's not how it is. For the business as an entity, वो पैसा तो ultimately बाहर से ही आया. So even then, even you are an investor that way. So if I were you, I would think that अगर मेरे पास 50 लाख रुपए है मेरे बिजनेस में डालने के लिए, और मेरा बिजनेस से मुझे मतलब अगर मैं बाहर से वो 50 लाख लाऊं और मुझे 6% पे मिल रहा है, और मैं अपना 50 लाख कहीं और रखूं और मुझे 8% मिल रहा है शॉर्ट, why will I put them in my business? I earn those 2% extra there and borrow that kind of money. So yes, to answer your question again, in a nutshell, yes, bootstrapping is always an option. But if the cost of capital or the cost of borrowed capital is lower, it makes that much more sense to go for funding. Have I answered Ignite?
Yes, Ketan, yes. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So we have
Do we have
two.
some more?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
Just a second.
Okay, Ketan, I think it's from Manish Maheshwari. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can.
Yeah. So it's like our existing client, MSME, are in practice of credit-oriented purchase of 45 days. We, being sellers of goods, now are not comfortable with such huge credit days now. So kindly suggest how to make sales call or sales strategy to existing clients so that we do not lose our existing clientele, because right, you have to say stay afloat rather than go for profitable. So if you can just suggest or advise him. If my question is not clear, can you just read the chat window?
Yeah, I got your question. Now, this is a very dilemmatic question, but here's my take on it. Okay? I think Mr. Maheshwari has asked this question, if I'm not wrong, because it was in the Google spreadsheet also, the forms. I think going further, MSME should be very cautious about credit. Anyway, Indian market, especially for the small and micro entrepreneur, has not been so good when it comes to credit recovery. And in this time, it's going to be all the more that much more difficult. So I would say, wherever possible, please do not extend credit. Do as much business possible on cash or on some confirmation against that business. I understand that practically this is not always possible. You need to stay afloat. You need to at least honor a business relationship that's going on for quite some time. I think you're the best judge of choosing which client can you trust on. Okay. A. B. I'm a law student myself also. At times, I see that MSMEs, when they face a problem related to credit recovery, and then they want to take a legal recourse, the process itself doesn't support a legal action sometimes. So, like for example, a lot of small and micro companies think that invoice भेज दिया तो और उसका पैसा नहीं आया तो मैं केस कर सकता है, या जीएसटी मैंने भर दिया और मतलब कि इनवॉइस पक्का है मेरी तरफ से, तो और कस्टमर ने पैसा नहीं दिया तो मैं केस कर सकता है. It's not completely true. Okay. For example, there are lots of cases where customer says that ये invoice raise किया तो उन्होंने किया, मुझे क्या पता, मैं क्यों, वो तो कितने invoice raise कर देंगे, वो कितनों का ही जाके GST भर देंगे. That doesn't mean I took it. What is the proof? How can you prove that I actually took the product? Okay, so here's the time. In the next slide that I'm going to come, I'm going to actually address that question also. That your business process has to be engineered or re-engineered in a way that at every step in the process of customer engagement, right from taking an order or having an inquiry till actually sending the invoice and getting the payment, every stage has to be divided and has to be followed by a strict documentation. And when I say strict documentation, that can mean a PO, that can mean a inquiry form, that can mean, of course, invoice. That will also mean trail mails of follow-ups, right? All of the, and please start getting into the practice of taking an acknowledgement from clients. Okay. I think, yes, clients ask for credit. In fact, in Indian market, they think it is their right. And since you all are giving it, why not? Okay. But here's the point. If you ask the client for advance payment, he may say no. He may say no, you have to please honor my relation. But you can definitely ask him for an acknowledgement. Give me something on writing that you have ordered this thing from me. You have received my delivery. You have received my invoice. You are going to pay in this time. Okay. Take as much documents, take as much acknowledgements as possible. Do not go without acknowledgement. Do not take just the word. ये इंडियन मार्केट में बहुत होता है भाई, जबान दिया ना. Okay, but in the code of law, वो जबान नहीं चलने वाली. You will have to have documentation. So if you are one of those who are troubled by credit recoveries, I would suggest as much as possible, stop it. I would, if I was you, I would look at discounting instead of credit. But if your business just doesn't allow for it, please engineer your process in a way that there is documentation at every step, and then there is an acknowledgement from the client at every step. Only then can you take a legal recourse. And 45 days आपने लिखा है. Unfortunately, अगर आप MSME registered है, तो MSME laws also say that at max you have to pay the vendor against that invoice in 45 days. Even GST laws have some provision for that, but then वो 45 days का है. So any legal action that you can take if you're MSME registered is only after 45 days. कई लोग कहते हैं कि मेरे इनवॉइस पे लिखा था कि 14 दिन you have to pay in 14 days, but then unfortunately that doesn't hold true. Of course you should write that, but legal action आप 45 days के बाद ही ले सकते हैं. So plan accordingly. If a client, I think we all are seasoned enough to understand which client is actually having a, मतलब किसकी नीयत है पैसा देने की और कौन वाकई में it's taking us for a ride. Have as much as documentation as a buffer as possible. I hope I have answered you, and we're going to talk a little more about this in the Q&A. Okay. And the last bit that I want to cover is business processes. Okay. Product development. This is your time, guys, to focus on developing your product, making it that much more fine, that much more better. Have a vision for your product. What should my product look like after the lockdown, 2021, 2025? Have a vision for your product. Or nowadays we are, I think this COVID has taken us by surprise, all of us, but it is here to stay. Lockdown or no lockdown, उसके बाद भी मुझे नहीं लगता कि people are going to be very comfortable venturing out in the market like earlier. बहुत सारे cultural shifts आने वाले हैं. I think, and a lot of analysts say this, that a lot of buy from home is going to be promoted. So you need to understand, you need to create a distribution plan that that helps your product reach the customer if the customer isn't going to come out and buy your products. Okay, it could be online, it could be offline, whatever. Also, how will the customer pay you? That's also very important. Okay, so create a distribution plan for your product and payment. Automation, I think going ahead, labor cost के बारे में बहुत सारी चर्चा होती है कि इस लॉकडाउन के बाद because there will be so many jobs that will be lost, altogether labor market सस्ता हो जाएगा. But here's the point, labor market में से job जाने वाली है no doubt, लेकिन ये labor भी चला जाने वाला है. There is going to be an exodus of a lot of people from dense markets like Pune and Mumbai. So nobody knows if labor cost is actually going to go low. Okay. Secondly, labor cost सस्ती है, इसके लिए आप किसी को भी नहीं बिठा सकते. Sometimes you need people, the kind of people that you need, and maybe they will turn out expensive. The right way going ahead, I think, is as much as possible automate. Technology is at its peak, I think, today, and it is coming at a rate that is affordable to a lot of businesses. Also, look at investments. Sometimes technology investments make us worry कि ये इतना सारा पैसा अभी क्यों डालें, इतने सस्ते में हो जाता है. But make your calculations. If that one-time investment is going to take away that much labor cost perpetually, go for it. Automation, I think, is going to be the need of the hour. Okay. Build in distinctions in your product. जैसे noise आपके physical, आपके virtual market में है, वैसे physical market में भी है. So right now is the time to focus on how you can stand out in this market in terms of your product. One important thing is focus on benefits versus features. जैसे आप किसी बिल्डिंग में एक घर लेने जाते हैं, अगर 1000 स्क्वायर फीट का एक घर है, 2 बेडरूम अपार्टमेंट है, एक कोई लैविश से प्रोजेक्ट में है और एक कोई स्टैंड अलोन प्रोजेक्ट में है, and one of them says that you come here, you buy, there is 24/7 CCTV surveillance, there is security, 24 घंटा पानी आता है, solar water है, वगैरह. And then there is someone else who says that if you book a flat, yes, there are these features, but the benefit of booking a flat with us is that you will get a premium neighborhood. Your child will play with the who's who of the city, the children of the who's who of the city, or a premium living. These kind of things. So that's not a touch and feel. कहीं कोई बटन दबाने से premium living नहीं experience होने वाली है, but it's a benefit. Going ahead, benefits will make you stand out more than features. So look at what benefits your product is offering over features. One function that traditionally MSME has tend to overlook is knowledge management. And I say this today because I think trainings, certifications, ये सारी चीजें आजकल ऐसे rates पे available है जो पहले कभी नहीं था. I was just scanning Udemy that day, and there are courses at as low as 400, 500, 600 for a lot of things. Also look at ancillary skills. कभी-कभी एक business करने में सिर्फ उस business के बारे में, उस business की technical training लेने से काफी नहीं होता. You need to get trained in other support functions also, and you always kind of postpone it because urgency उतनी होती नहीं है. पर आज समय है, तो invest in those ancillary skills training also. Like for example, since a long time I wanted to learn works, book a training for Excel or go to YouTube. Kuch kare. I mean, develop your ancillary skill sets that will help you navigate through this new business landscape. Okay. IPR activities, ensure that you copyright protect your work. Especially if you're in a consulting or a freelance mode, please focus a little on IPR related activities. IP related activities. Do a substitutes analysis. This is very important in this market because traditionally हम लोग सिर्फ existing competitors देखते हैं, और जब वो देखते हैं तो हम ये देखते हैं कि हमारे प्रोडक्ट जैसे बिजनेस में काम करने वाले और कितने हैं. Markets are changing so fast that जो लोगों को आपने कभी परसीव नहीं किया था वो भी आपके कॉम्पिटिटर बन जाते हैं, या आके पूरी इंडस्ट्री को ही स्वीप करके लेके जाते हैं. So there are competitors and then there is competition, right? So competitor is, for example, अगर आप XYZ इंडस्ट्री में है तो उसी XYZ इंडस्ट्री में वैसे ही ऑफरिंग थोड़ा अलग तरीके से देने वाला आपका कॉम्पिटिटर बन जाता है. लेकिन उस इंडस्ट्री को कोई धो के निकालने वाला है तो वो आपका कॉम्पिटिशन बन सकता है. That can be a substitute. Like if your customers are not going to do this, what else can they do? A case study here, I think a decade back, one of the competitors that came out for 5-star hotels was tools like Zoom and कंपटीशन बन गए। कैसे? क्योंकि उससे पहले कोई वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग की फैसिलिटी नहीं थी, तो इन पर्सन कोई बात करनी है तो आपको फ्लाइट टिकट बुक करना है, उस शहर जाना है, होटल बुक करके उसमें रहना है। पर अब अगर वीसी अवेलेबल है तो मुझे कहीं जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो उससे फ्लाइट टिकट्स एंड होटल्स दोनों ने बिजनेस में ड्रॉप महसूस किया। So like think about what can take you by surprise. Already plan for it. Then third thing that we can do right now is diagnosis of our own business. लोग कहते हैं pause and reflect in life. ये मौका मिला है pause and reflect in life. I would say pause and reflect in your business also. See how's your functional health. Make a assessment of what functions do you have for your business, what are the critical functions, and how are they doing. Be a judge. If not, again, hire a specialist who can do a diagnosis for you. Get a report that will help you prioritize which areas do need attention in your business. Okay, create maturity models, capability maturity, people maturity, टेक्निकल मैच्योरिटी। आप लोग कहाँ हैं बिजनेस में? क्या आप जैसे कोई कंपनीज होती है जो लाला बेस्ड होती है, ओनर ड्रिवन, क्या आप वो है? क्या आप प्रोसेस ड्रिवन है? क्या आप पॉलिसी ड्रिवन है? क्या आप ऑप्टिमाइज्ड है? क्या आपका बिजनेस उस स्टेज पे कि अगर आप ना भी हो तो भी बिजनेस चलेगा? मेक अ स्टडी अबाउट दैट। SWOT एनालिसिस, आई एम श्योर वी ऑल नो स्ट्रेंथ, वीकनेसेस, अपॉर्चुनिटी, थ्रेट्स आपके बिजनेस का। आई थिंक दिस इज द राइट टाइम टू डू इट। 5 forces study, external factors like buyer, supplier, market, competition, possibility of a new entrant in the market, in सब की study करें। PESTEL is political, economical, social, technical, technological, environmental and legal. Sometimes environmental and legal को हम completely भूल जाते हैं। I think couple of years back, the restaurant and bar industry in India, bars, basically liquor industry in India, service liquor industry in India went through a huge crisis because somebody somewhere put up a legal case and Supreme Court ने suddenly एक stunning decision दे दिया और 6 महीने के लिए बहुत सारा investment, बहुत सारा revenue का loss हुआ। That is one factor that nobody saw coming and legal took us by a surprise. वैसे ही एक और हुआ था, plastic जब ban हुआ। So be sure what kind of business you are in and what legal repercussions could be. Talk to a legal expert. Find out कि भाई ऐसा कुछ है, what do you see the future is for this industry in terms of legal reforms, right? One thing that I want to take your attention specifically to is documentation. ये जितना हमने सबने बात किया अभी, policies, procedures, processes, it is very important and I would say that very boring. One of the most boring tasks for an entrepreneur is to document. But here's the point, guys. This is the time when you can do it. This is the time when we can, sit down and actually document every process, every policy, have it in writing, just so that tomorrow when the business catches up, you're not unprepared. You're not caught off guard. Agar aap nahi bhi hai or somebody else in your absence is managing that business and makes a call, you can always tell him that please refer to this sheet or this policy document or this process, and the business will keep going. I'm not here to emphasize कि documentation क्यों जरूरी है, but ये करें, ये request मैं करना चाहता हूँ. Please, even if it is boring, you have the time to do it. Please do documentation of all of these. Also document customer data, potential customer data, आपका financial data, and right now online vaults are, I think, one of the best things that is happening. Because कई सारे, again, वो उस दिन जब कॉल था सिडबी का, तो वो बता रहे थे कि आप लोन एप्लीकेशंस ऑनलाइन भी कर सकते हैं और बहुत सारे बैंक्स ने ये शुरू करा है। तो आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स हर जगह आपको लगेंगे, तो हर बार ही आप स्कैन करें या फोटो करके भेजें, उससे अच्छा ऑनलाइन वॉलेट्स को यूज करें। एंड ऑल यू हैव टू डू देन इज जस्ट टू अटैच दैट लिंक एंड सेंड इट. It facilitates that process. Okay. I am now opening this platform. I request Prasad to allow people to unmute themselves. And if there are questions that you have that need to be taken, we can talk. Or if there are test cases, if there's something that you would like to share with this platform.
So, unmuted, Ketan.
Okay. So I would suggest like people should unmute only when they want to talk. Like I hear a lot of noise. So can
Only
you
the
just
one who's talking, please unmute himself. Just so that we can discuss.
Ketan, we have one question from Ayush regarding in the chat window. He has placed that. Can you just go through that? It's regarding the pricing with the major will be the major concern what he says.
Yes, I think a very good question. Pricing, I think with pricing, just wait and watch a little, especially the industry that Ayush is from, and Karan is from, and most retail industry. Don't jump into a conclusion of discounting. Okay? The idea being, all of us would be forced to think कि यार market बहुत खराब हुआ है, चलो discount देते हैं और he's there. But here's my point. Here's my take on this. The demand hasn't gone down. It is just this crisis, this out of the world situation that has forced customers indoors. But if you talk to anybody, I think even before this session began, had started, Karan and I were talking, and I told him that I'm really missing the food out there. So I want to go. The demand is still pretty much there. It is just that I can't go. Okay, so आप discounts तब करते हैं जब डिमांड कम हो गई हो और सप्लाई अभी ज्यादा है. So I don't think discounting right away should be the right strategy. Wait and watch, देखें क्या होता है, क्योंकि one of the fundamentals that I've always believed in, especially for MSMEs, is that do not undercut on prices. MSMEs shouldn't undercut on prices. I think unfortunately that is the approach that most MSMEs take. But here's the point: अगर आपकी profitability ढंग की नहीं है, you wouldn't be able to survive. Because प्राइस वॉर में अगर आप घुसना चाहते हैं तो कोई बड़ा आदमी 100-200 करोड़ रुपया डाल के आपकी इंडस्ट्री में हाहाकार मचाने में उसको बहुत ज्यादा समय नहीं लगेगा. ये सुयोग अगर आप हैं यहाँ पर तो you would agree with me that online travel agency as an industry took a huge hit because of people like Make My Trip and Go Ibibo and things like that. Okay, so they started offering ridiculous kind of discounts. तो आप उसको तो अगर आप उस लेवल पे डिस्काउंट देना चालू कर देंगे तो आप सस्टेन ही नहीं कर पाएंगे. You have bricks and mortar units, business units to take care of. You have rents to pay. You have salaries to give. So I don't think discounting is always the right way. Wait and watch how the market is reacting. And as far as possible, as an industry, if you can connect, if you can make join an access if there is already, अगर कोई association है आपकी industry की तो उसको join करें, नहीं है तो बनाएं, promote करें, and come together. This is the time to come together and stand strong. Let people know that you cannot do business at a rate that is so dirty. So stick to your guns when it comes to pricing. I hope I have answered Ayush.
Ketan, can I speak a little bit about this thing? I'm
Yes.
Aacharan from Nagpur.
Yes, Harshit.
Yeah, hi. First of all, we are thankful basically that you have been helping us in organizing all our marketing efforts and basically identifying our strengths. So in connection with what you have just answered, I have been thinking of asking you is that, I'm not sure what exactly this industry you're referring to right now, but as we are supplementary program providers in school, so essentially we are basically, what can I say, an value-added program. So that's not an essential entity for the parents or the schools alike. So do you think the same strategy we can adopt of not discounting basically? Because when you say, there will not be a reduction in demand, so I think that in specifically our industry, there can be a reduction in demand.
Yes. So this may not be applicable for everybody, like I had already said, but in particular reference to your thing, when you said that you are in a supplementary education, you're into supplementary programs for schools, I think this is applicable all the more for you. Do not discount. That is because I haven't met a single parent who has said that I don't want to send my child to the school. It is a lockdown, and that's why they have taken a halt. In fact, the right approach for somebody like you could be to come up with an offering that can go parallelly online, or in fact, probably you can think about forking out in terms of distribution methodology to move away from just being a support program to being an independent program also. Because these days people are buying left, right, and center when it comes to child development. I don't have exact statistics on that, but my gut feel, my experience in the industry says that uh, people are buying. If it is anything related to child development, people will pay. That thing hasn't gone. That sentiment. And when I spoke about UVP, if you remember, I've spoken to you in person also about UVP. People look at value, and there is no bigger value for general market when it better than some value enrichment, some value addition for their own child. So I think amongst everybody else, you would be the last person to discount, to look at undercutting your rates.
Sure. Thank you, Ketan.
Yeah, Ketan, I have a question. Can I come in?
Yes, Rajana.
Yeah, I have a small startup IT company with 40 consultants.
Okay.
We are primarily into IoT and into digital transformation. So my question to you is like, because of this current stage right now, because of COVID-19, most of the clients in US as well as in Europe have deferred our payment, and they've asked us to wait for a long time. So
Yes.
at this current scenario, I want to know like what are the financial options are available for us? Like, can we go for a CC, cash credit? You told me about the invoice discounting, but that won't work because they have already deferred the payment. So banks
Yes.
won't take it. And when I talk about cash credit option, is mostly in terms of stock actually. But normally, so how does bank react to this? And with the current scenario, banks also are performing with very less staff. So at this
Yes.
juncture, how do I approach? And if we're also looking for uh, investors, so can you guide us on that?
Yes. Sure. So to answer your, I will need to ask you one question before I answer your
Sure.
question, prime question. Um, the people who are deferring your payment, are those registered firms? Are those firms
Yeah.
with some amount of credibility?
Yes. They are quite good, large size companies.
Okay.
But
So the, what they're also doing is, if your payments have been deferred, and if you can show enough proof about having already delivered the service and have raised an invoice, and all you need to do is talk to those clients that if you want to defer my payment, I need help from you. My working capital is going for a toss. All I need is my banking partners or my investors are willing to help me. But if you can give something in writing that yes, we owe them this much, but right now because of the current market situations, we are not able to. For maybe if they want to write for unknown amount of time, maybe with a cap that right now looks like 6 months or 9 months or whatever the landscape they're thinking. But if they can write this and send it to you, that makes your banks believe that yes, they are willing to pay. It's just that the ability thing is right now taken for a toss. Banks understand, and banks do support, banks do finance that thing. Okay. Don't go for this particular thing. Don't go for private investments, because
Okay.
the only thing is it will be very, very costly, and the investor might eat up a huge chunk of your profit of something that you've already delivered. If it was something that was going to come, maybe then you would have adjusted your margins accordingly. But now that you've already delivered, you can't adjust your margin,
Right.
and you wouldn't want to lose out on a huge chunk on that. So that's one thing. CC is a very good option. I think the rate of financing in a CC is very low, so you should go for CC. That is going to ensure that your business stays afloat in this crisis. You should go for it. Investors, we have a few investors as a pool of investors with us. The only problem right now is most of them, like us, are frozen. Okay. But we can definitely, I think you and I, we can personally connect and
Sure.
let us look at. Having said that, I mean, they are frozen, but it's always, I mean, everybody's there, everybody's up there waiting for a right opportunity. And if yours is the right opportunity, I don't see why the investors won't take that seriously. So I have a few, plus the ones in my pool, if they are exhausted and if nothing works out from them, I can always lead you to a few bodies, and you can, we do this as a profession, but I don't do it for a living. If you take it from my pool, well, then of course we can work out commercials. But if you're going to do it outside of the pool, then I can just refer you in.
Sure, I'm agreed for both of that. No issue. We can contact separately on that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sure.
Yes. But I hope I have answered your question.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions? I will look at the chat window if there is something.
Yes, Krishan, Ketan, there is one question in chat window.
Can you direct me to whose question is that?
One is from Archana and other one is from Manish. There are two now.
So Manish's question, I think I took it.
No, there's one more from Manish. Just now he sent.
Okay. I can't see
from
it then.
Archana. So
I'll take Archana's first.
Okay.
Archana's question is, what do you think that whether information security should come under the basic requirements of any business, or it's an additional cost in current scenario of cyber era as a business point of view? Security of data is a huge area of concern currently. Okay, so much so that people are worried about conferencing apps also, and people are worried about I think we will all have to live with it until something robust comes. We will all have to live with it currently. We'll all have to ensure that we take as much security measures as we can. It is very important, I think. But then you're the best judge. Please look at what kind of operations, what kind of business you are in. Is there a data that is very sensitive? Are you into dealing with customers' data, which is again very sensitive? Are you into dealing with government or defense in particular? Or you're the best judge. But if your data is going to be your presentations and your thing and some random data from customers, well, then don't be so hyper about it. Okay? I say this because just a couple of days back I spoke to an associate of mine based out of Nagpur, and I asked him to join on some platform somewhere, and he's like, no, but then can I do that because there's a lot of threat. Account वगैरह का information निकल जाता है, and my question was like, okay, but then do we have like those millions of funds, or is it worth it? Okay, so be a little judicious about security, but if your business is in that category, I think it is prudent. No matter what the cost is, then you will have to be cautious about information security. In fact, going ahead, if you have taken right measures for information security, that might in fact work as a distinction that you built in your products. So look at it that way also. Like most of your competitors, if they are not safe or if they have not given due diligence to information security, but you have, you stand that much more chance to bag that deal. Okay. So that's my point of view about information security, Archana. And I go back to Manish's question. His question was marketing challenges in COVID era. Our existing clients are in, okay, I think I have answered that. We are manufacturing of packaging products, PP, woven sack. Manish, can you unmute yourself and ask the questions yourself? Are you there? Okay, I'll take it myself. So how can we strategize to go for healthy cash flow bound sales? Invoice discounting is not possible with us because my customers do not fall down in eligibility criteria of factoring company, and the vintage of a relationship with a customer is 5 to 7 years. Our customers are also not comfortable in early payments, being cyclical nature of their business, poultry feeds manufacturers. Okay, so I think I took a possibility of that kind already in contention when I gave that elaborate answer. That if you think that credit is the only way to go ahead, well, at least I'm sure your customers will acknowledge your documentation at every stage. So please make your documentation, please make your business process very, very sound backed by legally standing, legally worthy documentation, and let your clients know that I will extend a credit line, but please take please acknowledge these, and let them know that they will be answerable, and you can and you will ensure that you take a legal recourse.
Ketan, the thing here is, sorry to interrupt you. The thing here is, my clients are not there to cheat, or we don't have to take any legal recourse. But the problem here is, at this moment, we have to purchase in cash and carry model, and we have to sell in 45 days credit orientation. So the cash budgeting or the cash flow, it is pretty much disturbing. So how can we mold our existing clientele from their existing practice of purchase practice of 45 days to a model of say 2 to 3 days or 7 days credit orientation, so that they don't feel like we have dropped them off in this COVID era?
Manish, this is a very difficult situation, honestly, because customers, if they know, they're going to exploit this actually. So if you're looking at working as to how to orient your customers to pay you in 5 to 7 days, they will not unless they have a very good reason to do so. And that very good reason has to be offered by you. So you will need to dig deep into your own business and your industry in general. Firstly, find out, does your customer have any other option to not do business with you? I mean, does he have a choice? Is there anybody else? Also, does he have a switching cost? If he switches from you to some other customer, some other vendor, would he have to pay a lot? Also, look at a possibility of backward integration. Can he backward integrate into your business? If the answers to most of them are no, well, then you don't have to worry about. I mean, then you have to just go to your customer and say that it's an interdependent system. We are all in a crisis. I need you as much as you need me. Please help me. Please sit down. But I still think 2, 3 days or 5, 7 days is going to be a long shot. It's going to be very difficult. But then you should be open for negotiations on credit terms also. In the meantime, to support your own business, you can look at working capital schemes. There are a truckload of working capital schemes that are coming up at a very lucrative rate of interest. So I think you can go for those. If there is something in particular, then again, Manish, we can connect in person and find out the actual scenario. We can sign an ATA and discuss your customers, and then look at tailor-made solutions, bespoke solutions for your business. Does that sound right, Manish?
Sure, it is pretty much good. I'll come back to you in person.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. I have a question from Karan. I would like to know if some of our employees are willing to work for free until the things get normal. Should we take a bank finance and pay them their salaries, or should we pay them later when the cash flow regularizes with a bonus for their contribution? I think, Karan, I was just talking to one another customer just yesterday about exactly this problem. And I'm of a view that, of course, do not ask them to work for free, because they are I think, humanistically speaking, they would be in a much difficult situation. Unless, of course, if somebody comes up and voluntarily says this, so that's a different thing. But as a rule, but I think maybe you can discuss, or I think you should discuss a possibility of a pay cut right now. We are all in times where even jobs are becoming entrepreneurial in nature, and a part of this extreme crisis will have to be passed on. A lot of firms are doing that for your survival, and even actually in their interest. It is good that if you cut their pays by, let's say, 30-40%, because that way you can pay them for a longer period. If let's say you're paying them 100% of the salary, someday you will get exhausted. By you, I mean your business will get exhausted, and then you will not pay them anything at all. And you suddenly ask them to take a drastic decision, or you yourself take a drastic decision, and that might be actually all the more harmful. So get them prepared to a cut in salary, get them prepared to working in lesser amount of funds already. And once the situation gets normal, if you're back to normalcy, if they help you build your business back to normalcy, yes, definitely reward them for the contribution. Why not?
Yeah.
Have I answered you? Correct.
Yeah. So Ketan, I'm just making notes of all the suggestions you're giving me. I won't implement them right now because
Yeah.
things are very uncertain. But at least I have them listed, and then when the time is right, I can implement it.
Yes, and that was the whole agenda today. That let's contemplate as to what all we can do. Then let's go ahead with with the actionables. I'm going to share something with everybody here. There's a client of ours who we have worked out an action plan for. I'm going to share a snapshot of that. Just give me 1 second. Karan, something like this, and everybody, something like this can come in handy. Can you all see the screen? There's an Excel sheet. Karan, can you see the sheet?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so it's a client of ours for whom we made a action plan just for this lockdown period. So we what we did is we rolled out what functions can they actually carry on with even during this lockdown. We first wrote the functions down. Then what all tasks can they do under those functions in this lockdown? We created a category of priority for those tasks. Then within the organization, who can this task be assigned to? What is the progress on those tasks? Are they yet to start? Are they on track? Are they going behind? Then we conduct review meetings and find out if they are behind the schedule. Why so? Sometimes we have to outright abort a certain task which we did plan but cannot be done, especially in these times. So there is an abort option also. What is the anticipated start time? How many number of days do we anticipate? And then how does the calendar look like? So this makes our discussions more fruitful if you build something like this, guys. Um, sorry, just give me 1 moment. This makes these discussions more fruitful because then you have a written down action plan. And I think Excel is the most underutilized software also. So if you can create something like this for your business, if not, you can get in touch with us. We'll help you create this. And then we will have a day by day, maybe hour by hour documented plan for things that have to be done even in this period. And that way your business will, you will ensure that your business is moving ahead even in these times. Is that right, Karan? Okay. Any other questions, guys? I think we're coming to a fag end of this conversation. I have a question from Utsav. To lower the expenses, many companies opt for outsourcing to the expert consulting companies rather than having a full-time expert employee. In the upcoming times of cutthroat cash flow in hand, what do you think? How will be the market of outsourcing professional services? Example, business development, HR, and accounting. There is a bad news and there is a good news here, Utsav. The bad news is for every company, hiring an expert, I think, is going to go somewhere behind in terms of priority sheets. Good news is people who have developed a rather indispensable expertise, they will make a very good use of this opportunity. So there's only two ways to look at it. Either you build a value that is indispensable to your clients, or you wait and watch. Have I answered you, sir? Utsav, can you hear me? Oh, lockdown has been difficult on you.
Yeah.
You've lost all hair.
No, I could not unmute myself. So it gave me a glance of what exactly you said. There are two perspectives to this.
Yes.
I get that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have?
I think, Ketan, we missed out one question from Rupa Sada. So I'll just tell you what it is.
Okay.
Can
How
you
Chamber of Commerce can help us to establish your business in market? In short, do you suggest us to go to Chamber of Commerce? A very important question, Rupa. I think I'm thankful to you for asking this question. Chambers of Commerce are the best way to go ahead in these times. I've always been an advocate of that. I'm not so much in favor of. That's a personal point of view, and we can all differ here. But Chamber of Commerce, I think, helps much more than networking groups, because Chamber of Commerces are very powerful when it comes to having access to ministry and ministerial data or government data. They can, I'm myself a part of MCCI. Aacharan is registered with that Chamber of Commerce, and in the last 3 years that I'm a part of MCCI, the business value that has been added is immense, is outstanding. And they conduct a lot of these seminars, webinars, absolutely free of cost. They make you aware about what's happening in the market, and they actually get in people at very high levels that we otherwise could struggle to get an access to. I think 6 months back, I attended a seminar, a physical seminar by MCCIA on electronics and electronics and telecommunication industry, where the minister of it's called MITI, Minister of Electronics and Information Technology of India, something like that. That minister himself attended, and he was addressing us. And they have done so many such events where they get decision makers, they get real-time policy makers, they get you to network with actual business owners. It is fabulous. I can't really lay enough importance. I can't really lay enough emphasis on the importance of chambers of commerce. I've always been an advocate, and in these times, I think it's all the more important that you get yourself registered. You will see immense value addition into your business. Okay, friends, are there any other questions, or can we go ahead? I don't know who that is. Somebody has muted me. Okay. So, friends, if there are no further questions, then I would move towards thanking all of you for giving out your precious time, interacting, making this session, that much more value, that much more worthy. Apart from whatever we have interacted, if you feel like getting in touch with us, we are also going to plan a series of such more webinars now, digging deeper into these subjects. We have spoken at a broader level. We're going to dig deeper, and then there will be a lot more other subjects that we are going to cover in these series of webinars. So if you can connect with us on our social media platforms, you will be updated with what else we are bringing out, and maybe if you like this, you can join there as well. We have a YouTube channel. I would request you guys to visit this. This link might be a little complicated, but you can go and type Ketan Heda on YouTube, and you'll see the channel. You'll see our work there. We are going to right now. We have put in videos which are more to do with personal development. We are making some more videos on business development side of things also. So go subscribe to those channels, and once we put the video, they'll automatically send a notification to you. And other than that, our contact details are on your screen right now. That's my business account WhatsApp number, 976551722. You can make a note of this. We are accessible on emails through these email IDs. And all in all, it was wonderful having you as an audience. I hope to see you all again in the next series of webinars that we do. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, friends. Please drop in a line of feedback. Please let us know what else would you like us to cover, if there is something in particular. And Reginald and Manish, we can definitely get in touch in person to discuss your problems particularly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, friends. I'm ending this meeting right now.